Hey, this is Russell Whitney with Expert Insider, and I'm sitting next to the real Brad Lea. Any of you watch social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, follow Grant, you know who the real Brad Lea is. Absolutely amazing. Pleasure to have him on the show. Great to have you here today, Brad.
Thank you, sir.
So, Brad, I got the chance and opportunity to meet you virtually, and your business and your background and story. What was interesting is Grant always kept me on the edge of my seat and saying, the real Brad Lea, the real Brad Lea, the real Brad Lea. So I wanted to know more, and I'm glad to have you here on the show today. So who is the real Brad Lea?
Man, you know, I grew up in a small town in Eugene, Oregon, dropped out of high school at 16, thought I was going to be a movie star, went to LA, found out,
we all did.
Found out quickly that I didn't like being a broke, struggling actor.
Right.
I also found out that the man with the money in Hollywood makes all the decisions, so I set off to be a millionaire. And just didn't realize it'd take 30 years. But found sales, started being great at sales, and then ended up creating a training company, and that developed into a technology company. So now the real Brad Lea is just a guy that runs a...
Gotcha. What was your first entrepreneurship, like your first business that you did?
Well, I've tried to start a few businesses in my life. So the first one was actually a fire retardant.
Fire retardant.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Well, I found this chemical that if you squirted it on anything, it wouldn't catch fire.
Okay.
So I put a label on it, called it Armor Shield, and tried to start a fire safety company where you sprayed it on everything so your house couldn't burn down.
Awesome. How did that go? Was it a success?
Not very well.
Or a bust?
Well, I mean, you know, when I sold it, it went well. The problem is, you know, most people couldn't sell it. So it wasn't scalable.
It wasn't scalable because most people didn't see the value of needing it for their home,
or I couldn't train enough people to sell the value.
Gotcha, understood. So you went into that business. That was something that didn't work out too well. How did you get into it, first and foremost? You just found it? Somebody pitched it to you?
Yeah, a friend of mine had this fire retardant that he put on Christmas trees.
Okay.
And it kept the Christmas trees from catching on fire.
Gotcha. So you thought that was what, a unique selling proposition to solve a need?
Absolutely. I mean, do you want your house to burn down?
No, of course not.
I can sell you 5 gallons of Armor Shield.
So the Armor Shield the entire house.
Well, that
before
was the plan.
You move in was the plan, and from there it would be protected and not burn down.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Of course, I was young too, so I mean, you know, there was probably a lot of other factors, contributing factors, but that was my first business.
Gotcha. So growing up in Eugene, Oregon, I've been there before, so that's a very beautiful area up there. Growing up, what type of family did you grow up in? What environment were you growing up into to learn or think about getting into business entrepreneurship?
Well, it was a middle-class family, I think. Children should be seen and not heard, you know.
Seen and not heard, yep.
Yeah. So, you know, my parents were, you know, they provided. We weren't hungry, but we also didn't have everything we wanted, so we weren't rich. My dad and uncle started a few businesses, and we kind of got up the scale a little bit. This is when I was younger, and a person got in an accident after drinking at one of my dad's taverns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My uncle, to save money, had just canceled the insurance right before this happened.
Right.
So that just wiped us out. So we went from here back down to like lower middle class. My dad, you know, ended up getting a job and kind of lost that entrepreneurial spirit, but maybe that's where I got it. I don't know. Okay. You know, when I was young, I went to sell candy bars at the school.
Yes.
And I developed a pitch.
Yep.
And at, you know, 6 or 7 years old, you know, outsold everyone you could think of.
Yes.
Won awards by how many I sold. So maybe that was the spirit.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember growing up, they always had the candy competitions where they'd give you whatever, the M&Ms or the school bar with the nut and the chocolate or whatever.
World's
and if you
finest
won,
chocolate.
Yes, exactly. And if you won, you'd get a bicycle as the top winner, or the games, or whatever it was.
Me.
That piece.
I won it all.
It's me too. So the funny thing is, every time I talk to somebody as an entrepreneur, was in the school selling piece, and my father started teaching me sales at a very young age. And I remember that was one of the first deals that I would do, is go out and I would go door to door selling the candy bars, and I would win every single competition, but by a landslide from what he would teach me, how to approach, ask questions, go for the close, and go for the sale. So I love the fact of getting money and winning money. What was one of your, okay, so the candy piece, what age did you do one of your first businesses? How old were you?
Selling the candy?
No, not selling the candy. Different business besides selling the candy. Did you ever try in your teens doing your own business?
No, not really. You know, I went from, you know, selling candy. I used to, you know, invest my lunch money into bubble gum and then sell it retail at school.
Okay, so that was kind of an entrepreneur business.
Yeah, I mean, but that was like in grade school, junior high.
Okay,
I just knew that, you know, I could buy 5 packs of Bubblicious for $1.
Right.
And then I could sell each piece for $0.25 and, you know, 5x my money.
Yeah.
So I'd go to school with $2 for lunch. I'd stop at the store, get 2 packs of Bubblicious.
Right.
Go to the store, sell them all for $0.25 a piece, and you know.
And how did you figure that out? How did that came about?
Well, because when I'd buy Bubblicious for myself, everyone wanted a piece. I'd say, "Give me a $0.25." And so I just started selling it.
So basically, you saw a need, saw a problem.
It's always that. It's always that.
Right, and that's one of the biggest things I want to get into is about entrepreneurs, and a lot of the entrepreneurs that watch these videos and watch our show are trying to figure out, how can I get into business? And I always tell people is, one is finding a need, finding somebody's challenge maybe in their business, or finding a problem that's out there in society and creating off of that and creating the solution. Would you agree?
It's exactly what I say.
Okay.
I say find problems, look for problems. See,
Right.
most people run from problems.
Yep, that's true.
You know, they hide from them, they ignore them, not only their own problems,
Sweep
but other
them under
people's
the rug.
problems.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I got a problem. It's like, whoa, it's not
Right.
my problem. Well, I always gravitate towards problems for that exact reason, because if you can solve problems, you're
in
set.
business.
I mean, I always say, if you want $1 million, solve 1 million problems.
Right. That makes $1 million solve 1 million problems for sure.
Or one big one.
Or one big one, true. And that's what I love for me, and I think also for most of the entrepreneurs and friends that I know in business, is they love finding problems and solving problems, and there's big money into it as well.
Sure
If you can find somebody's problem in any business. So a lot of times I'll go into businesses, companies, to help them either scale their company, generate more sales, see what's going on with their marketing. And all I'm doing is dissecting to find all the areas that they're missing. It's not like something that's absolutely genius at the end of the day. It's just, here's a challenge. I have a way that I can fix it through experience over the years, and being able to give them that solution, and then also get a great ROI and return on it. So so you saw a need, so you were selling bubble gum, you graduated, did you go to college?
No.
No, I
Dropped
didn't
out
either.
of school.
Dropped out at 16, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you dropped out at 16. What were you doing from that age on?
Well, I cruised to LA to become an actor.
The actor.
Yeah. And
Right.
almost made that. 3 days before production, the producer's son got out of a drug rehab, so they gave him my part.
Okay.
And they kind of explained to me what was going on, and ultimately their answer was, he's the one with the money, so he gets to decide.
Right.
So I thought, okay, well then I need the money. So I said, I'm going to go become a millionaire. Well, the quickest way to become a millionaire is sales.
Yep.
I think sales is the highest paid profession in the world. Now, someone will argue that an athlete actually is.
No,
Professional
not on
athlete.
average.
Well, what I say is, who's paying the athlete? The person paying the athlete is the person selling the tickets, selling the jerseys, selling. It's always sales. Sales
Right.
is the highest paid profession in my book.
Right.
Well, I knew how successful sales was when I was little, and I felt, even though it was minor, that success. So I decided to start, selling things. But before that, when I was 17, I got a job. My parents forced me to get a job. They didn't force me, but
Right.
pressured me.
Of course.
And according to my family, who was a lot of blue collar workers, a real job, was hard work,
Right.
digging ditches. So I applied at this forestry company.
Okay.
And I got a job at least I thought, fighting forest fires.
Right.
So I ran around town. I got hired, $22 an hour, which was good back then. And
That's great.
you know, I ran around bragging, you know, I'm a forest fighter, you
Right.
know, forest firefighter. It sounded
Right, of
cool.
course.
Girls thought it was cool.
Did you get a lot of girls then by saying that?
Sure.
Yeah. So you want to get more girls? Say you're a firefighter.
Yeah. So.
But sales will actually get you more girls because you can close properly. Maybe.
That's for sure too.
Yeah.
But sales will lead to the money, and the money's really what gets the girls.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to.
But ultimately, I showed up on the first day of the job and found out I wasn't really a forest firefighter.
Right.
I was the guy that they put a 10-pound bag of water on my back. They called it a piss bag. And I had to go around behind the forest firefighters. I'll just call them firefighters.
Okay.
And put out the smoldering stumps so they didn't reignite. And it was up and down treacherous hills with sticks and crags and smoke and ash. It was miserable.
Right.
And then I got a little spot of poison oak on my arm.
Right.
I went to the super. I said, look, I got a poison oak spot. You know, I'm not going to be able to, you know, do this.
Right.
He ripped off his shirt and he was covered in poison oak. All
Tough
of
it
them were
out.
covered in poison oak. And yeah, like that's part of the job. And I'm
Right.
like, this isn't happening.
This
Like,
ain't
I'm,
for me.
I'm not doing it. So I stopped doing that and I opened up the newspaper and saw a job for selling cars.
Right.
So, you know, I thought, you know, wear a suit.
Yep.
They gave me a free car to drive. Back then, they gave what's called a demo.
Right.
So they gave me a free car to drive. I got to wear a suit. I got to wear a suit, which to
Right.
me I like dressing sharp.
Uh-huh.
And so I went and tried it.
Yep.
And in the first month, I outsold everybody on the floor and just made more money than anyone in my family. Got a free car to drive, and I said, "Man, this is unbelievable." So I sold cars for a while.
Right. Okay. So in car sales, and that's what you got. What age was that?
That was, well, 17. In fact, when I got the job, I was 3 months till I turned 18, and you had to be 18 to get the job.
Oh, okay.
So when I applied, I just said I was 18.
All right.
Well, my dumb ass ran around telling people I was really only 17, which got back to the general manager. They brought me in and said, "How old are you? And don't lie to me." And I said, "I'm 17. How many cars do you got out?" I said, 26. Now,
Right.
this was, you know, 3 weeks into the month. 26 people don't sell in a month.
Right.
He said, "When do you turn 18? I said, "Another 2.5 months or 2 months." He said, "Keep your mouth shut about how old you are.
Right.
Get out there and sell a car."
Of course.
So he
Because
just
you're
let-
bringing the money in.
Right. He let me
Right?
stay, and I thought, you know, that's cool.
course.
This is my kind of business.
Yeah. So that's the part is you had the control, and that's the thing in the in companies that I've always found is the guys that sell the most. I mean, have the control a lot of times, like you were saying. In your Hollywood experience, he who has the money is in control, or he was bringing in the money, controlling it to feed your upper management's pocket
Yeah.
or the owner's pocket, right? This is Russell Whitney. You're watching Expert Insider. When I get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about sales, the importance of it for your business, and how to become an entrepreneur immediately.